My name is Espino. I'm from Cartagena, from UNAC, Universidad Nacional Abierta y a Distancia. Thank you very much for having chosen this oral presentation. I'm going to be speaking from the handout. I'm not using any device. Originally, the handouts are for the couples to share, but at the end, please you let me know how many of you are without this material, and I will have them printed at the photocopy, and I will give you a free copy of the handout. Okay. So I'm going to start really quickly because time is short. And okay, there you have the contents of the presentation. This is a research report from my master's degree in teaching English as a foreign language. So let's go quickly over the material. Okay, so let's go on page 4. Page 4. Justification of an academic and personal interest. Okay, this research find its justification or its rational or personal interest in the communicative methodologies. Oh, you don't have any handout. Please share the handouts, please. Please share the handouts. Okay, the communicative methodologies, the theory of interlanguage, the construction of an interlanguage, the construction of knowledge for interlanguage, learning strategies for learning, the role of communicative oral facts in the social construction of an interlanguage, and the management of the interactive classroom. The research questions and objective. The research question is, what is the incidence of the communicative approach in the construction of an interlanguage? Main goals: to analyze the students' interlanguage cognitive and social processes construction during the instructional time in the target language. Specific goals: to explain the linguistic and psycholinguistic social processes in the construction of an interlanguage. The theoretical background has two parts. The first part consists of communicative approach background, the communicative approach to language teaching and learning. Okay, the communicative approach background, according to Richards and Rogers, they say in their book, Approaches and Methods to Language Teaching, they say that the communicative approach to language teaching is a language, they say, language is a system for the expression of meaning. And that is something you have to keep in mind. Language is not for repetition after day. Language is not for your students to be a paragraph. And there is a big mistake. There is a big mistake because teachers come to the classrooms and they say to the students, open the book and repeat after me. When your students repeat after you, they are not exchanging any meaning. Repetition is important. Repetition is important for pronunciation purposes. Repetition is important to check your intonation. Repetition is important to check your accent. But repetition is not useful for constructing social manners. So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with that in your language work. If you want to lead your students to the construction of social meanings in the target language, you have to provide them with social activities in which they use the language for communicative purposes. Okay? So forget about repetition and repeat after me. So the primary function of language is for interaction and communication. The primary function of language is for interaction and communication. You need to provide your students with interaction activities in which they communicate each other, in which they communicate meanings, in which they exchange meanings. The structure of language reflects its functional and communicative uses. Structure is important. You need to work and you need to teach grammar. Grammar is important. Why is grammar important? Because grammar belongs to the cognitive. Grammar belongs to the linguistic part of the language. Grammar is linguistic. If you don't teach grammar, your students will be good at speaking badly. But grammar is not the only thing to teach. You need to teach grammar, and you need to teach grammar well. And you need to work on the forms of the language. You need to work on the affirmative, on the negative, on the structured sentence. You need to work on questions. You need to work on WH questions. But you need to work on that communicatively. Which is different. For example, if you're going to teach the conjugation of the verb to be, for example, I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, you are, they are. Okay, make groups. So you are the pronoun, you are the personal pronoun I, you are the personal pronoun you are the personal pronoun he, you are the personal pronoun she. Okay, begin.
I am. You are.
She is. It is.
It is.
We are.
We are.
They are. The negative.
I am not.
She is not. Okay. This is a behaviorist technique because this is repetition. And this is for creating perfect habits. But you are doing this. Okay? So you see the difference? You see the difference? Okay. The communicative approach to language teaching and learning. The language teacher needs to know the concept of methods and approaches. What is the difference? What is the difference between the method and between an approach? Do you know what methods are useful for? Know what a method is for? And do you know what a method, do you know what chances methods give you? When talking about methods in language teaching, we are talking about choices. Choices. We are talking about choices. For example, you have the grid. You have speaking, writing, listening, and reading. Okay? So, in your own method, you choose to teach listening first. In your own method, you decide to teach speaking first. In your own method, you decide to teach writing first. So, every method is individual. Every method is individual. So, there's no bad method. Then, after the method needs to be in line with the approach. When we talk about an approach, we are talking about theories of language and theories of learning. Okay, my question is, which are the theories of learning? The theories of learning are behaviorist and cognitive. What is behaviorist? Memorization. Repeat after me. Memorize long lists of vocabulary. Repetition after nothing. What is cognitive? Mental processes. So, for example, your method, teacher, your method focuses on writing, right? On writing. That's your method, writing. Okay. And what is your approach? What theory of language are you going to use? Behaviorist, which is memorization, or cognitive, which is okay, that's up to you. That's up to you. Okay, the second component of the approach, is the theories of language. Which are the theories of language? Structuralism, functionalism, and interaction. So, let's go back to the method. Your method? Writing. You choose writing. Which theory of language? Which theory of learning? Cognitive. Which theory of language? So, if it is cognitive, then you have to choose function or interaction. So, cognitive as a theory of language, cognitive as a theory of language, of learning, and function or interaction as a theory of language is the communicative approach. So, the communicative approach consists of a language theory, a cognitive language theory, and cognitive language learning, and a functional or interaction language learning theory. Theory of language. So let's continue. So there, on page 5, you have the theory of language. There you have the theory of language. Structuralism, functionalism, interaction, and theory of learning, behaviorist, and cognitive. So, for example, if you use functionalism and cognitive, that is the communicative approach. If you use interaction and cognitive, that is the communicative approach. If you use structuralism and behaviorist, that is a structuralism approach. So you are free to use the method and the approach you want. What is going to be the result? If you use the structuralism, your students are going to know a lot of grammar, but they're not going to be able to speak. If you use the communicative approach, your students are going to know grammar, and they will be able to use grammar in conversation. Why? Because the communicative approach does not forget about grammar. The communicative approach does not leave grammar behind. The communicative approach is friend of grammar. But the structuralism, the structural approach, is not friend of the communicative approach. They are enemies. Okay, so the theory of language and CLT. Do you know the meaning of the acronym CLT? CLT means communicative language teaching. Okay, so there you have Noam Chomsky. Okay, Noam Chomsky speaks about linguistic competence. And what is linguistic competence about? Linguistic competence is about grammar. Grammar. So, as you can see, theories and communicative approach. The communicative approach is friend of grammar. If you want to teach your student how to speak the target language well, and if you want to teach your students how to speak the target language properly, you have to teach them grammar. and good grammar. And you have to teach them grammar well. But if you want to teach your students how to speak and you don't teach them any grammar, they will speak badly. The communicative approach is good friend of grammar. If you are a communicative teacher, you need to start working on the linguistic competencies. But don't stay there. You need to progress to communication. Okay, the second theory. Hines speaks about communicative competence. What does he say? He says that the person is competent when the person knows when to speak, what to speak, why to speak, where to speak, and to whom to speak. So, if you want to teach your students how to speak English, you need to provide your students with situations. You need to provide your students with situations. Problem solving, task-based learning, oral drills, oral tasks. You need to give your students situations so that they think what to say, to whom to speak, when to speak. But if you do not provide your students with oral situations for them to speak, your students will not be able to learn the target language. Believe me. And that's why we come from preschool, primary, high school, university, and at the end of the undergraduate program, I have to take this. Otherwise, I won't be able to graduate. And we don't speak English. And why we don't speak English? Because we, as teachers, spend all the time teaching the structures, and we never provide the students with oral situations for them to use them. So remember, teach grammar, and after that, provide your students with oral situations so that they use the grammar, so that they use the functions of the language. All right. He continues to praise the communicative line for language learning. He remembers Chomsky giving his view a place under the use of language for communicative purposes. You see? Language for communicative purposes. Swain speaks about comprehensible input. Do you know what comprehensible input means? Comprehensible input is the language you speak to your students in the classroom. But the language you speak to your students in the classroom needs to be understood by them. Has never happened to you when you were studying English that a teacher comes into the classroom speaking a lot of English and you no idea? Okay, that input was not comprehensible. And what do you need to do for the input to be comprehensible? What do you need to work on for the input to be comprehensible? What do you need to work in your classes for your students to understand what you say to them? And for your students to understand what she says to her and what she says to him. You need to work on the structure. You need to work on pronunciation. You need to work on accent. And you need to work on the proper use of the question. Once you have worked on this, the result is comprehensible. For example, let's work on the structure. What's your name? How how many students in the first class, in first level, know to ask cómo se llama tu papá? They don't know how to ask that question. Why? Because the teacher is not making this question extensive. For example, what's your name? Okay, now, what's her name? What's her name? No, what's her name? What's her name? What's her name? And what's his name? Okay, so, when you teach, what's your name? And you want your students to learn how to ask about others' names, you have to teach possessively. Right? And teaching possessive takes time. Okay? Yes. Yes. Everybody in English just ask about the second person. What's your name? Where do you live? What do you study? How old are you? But they don't know to ask. How old is she? But why? Because the teacher is not moving the question forward to the other personal pronouns. So you have to ask your students to work in groups, to work in pairs. And what's your name? What's her name? What's his name? What's our name? What's her name? How old are you? How old is she? How old is your father? How old is your mother? You need to work on those questions, and that takes time. But if you want to teach this function of the language properly, you need to work on those aspects of grammar. Right? Okay. So that's why next page, page 6. The role of cognition in second language. Do you think cognition is important in second language acquisition? Do you think cognition is important in second language acquisition? Yes. Why do you think cognition is important? Because cognition has to do with learning. Cognition has to do with learning. Everything you learn it because your brain takes cognitive actions. Okay, cognition. Okay, means that you need to work on your students' learning needs. If you work on your students' learning needs, your students will learn faster. So don't teach your students what they do not need. Teach the language your students need. Sometimes your students come to your teacher. How do you say licuar? ¿Tú para qué quieres saber eso? That is the topic, it is. Okay, blend. So teach the students the language they need. Because the language which is in the book is not authentic. You live in Sangil, and your textbook shows a picture of the Eiffel Tower. What for? Show your students a picture of the Santísimo. Show your students a picture of an Olvera, who's architect. That is authentic. But you teach the textbook shows a picture of the Mississippi River. That isn't authentic. What is your authentic river here? Fonse. Okay, talk about Fonse River. Talk about Fonse. That is authentic. So teach your students the language they need. Teach the students the language they need. That is cognition. Learning strategies. They are primal. They are primal for shaping the cognitive aspect of the target language. And pay attention to this. LAD. L-A-D. What is LAD? Learning acquisition device. Chomsky speaks about LAD. And what is the learning acquisition device? The learning acquisition device is an inborn device we have in our brains. But what is next? What is next? What is next after? No, Latin. Long-term memory. Okay. Students, I'm sorry. Okay, the psychological Latin structure. Okay, what is the difference? What is the difference between lab and the psychological Latin structure? The lab, which is the learning acquisition device, works perfectly until the age of 13. Until the age of 13. For example, a baby who was born in Sangil. A baby is 4 years old. Okay, he is learning Spanish because of the lag. Because the learning acquisition device goes into the universal grammar of the Spanish language. And he's able to speak grammar perfectly. But at that age, if he moves to the United States, he will be able also to learn the language there as a second language, because the lab will have access to the universal grammar of English. But what happens after 13 years old? After 13 years old, the lab, the learning acquisition device passes away. When? And comes out a latent psychological structure. This latent psychological structure is the structure that allows people to learn the second language after 13 years old. Have you noticed that the older the person is studying the language English, the more interested the person is in learning grammar? Have you noticed that? ¿No han notado que entre mayor es la persona que va a estudiar inglés, más le interesa la gramática? ¿Han notado eso? Because the brain moves the person to have access to the universal grammar.
To analyze the things, to analyze how things work.
Yes, because the latent psychological structure is like the learning acquisition device. The latent psychological structure needs to have access to universal grammar. So why? That is the reason why you have to teach your students grammar. You need to teach your students grammar. Okay, the construction of knowledge for interlanguage. Okay, we have behaviors techniques. Okay, when we speak about behavior techniques, we're speaking about repetition, right? When we speak about behavior techniques, we're speaking about repetition. For example, the verb to be. I am.
I am.
She is. It is. We are. You are. No. You are.
You are.
They are. Negative. You are not. He is not. She is not.
He is not.
We're not.
you're not, then.
Okay, this is. This is a behavior technique, but at the same time, it's a functional technique. It's a social technique. Okay, I'm sorry, time is up.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to have this handout for a copy at the photocopy machine, so you can go there and have a copy of this for free. I will pay for them. Okay, how many of you do not have this? ¿Cuántos de ustedes no lo tienen?